If you've been watching the channel for a little while, you'll know that I've got a soft spot for building stunning all-white gaming PC builds. So when Montech's brand new HS02 PC case landed, alongside one of the best looking white-themed GPU and motherboard combos I've seen for ages, I figured now was a perfect time to build an awesome white-themed 4K gaming PC. And the best bit, I'm going to be taking you guys along for the ride as I go ahead and put this thing together, share some of the highs and some of the proverbial lows, and look, of course, at the performance you can achieve from a build like this. Let's do this.
The smoke lingers after 5.
The Ducky One X is here and is the world's first inductive analog keyboard featuring Ducky's inductive switches. With support for rapid trigger, multi-point trigger and a gasket mount design, the One X is ready to seriously level up your gaming setup. Plus you can connect via either USB, 2.4 GHz or Bluetooth. Plus with two different profiles as a mode for work and play. It's available in a full size or mini format with white and black colorways available. Learn more at the first links in the description below. Now let me begin by talking about, well, let's start with the motherboard and GPU combo. Not normally where I'd begin in a gaming PC, but we'll mix things up. Let's start with the GPU. This is the MSI Gaming Trio White 5080. And one thing that I think manufacturers have got right with 50 series, and there's a lot they've not got quite right, is the color scheme of cards. And I think this particular GPU from MSI looks amazing. This comes in with MSI's pretty familiar Gaming Trio cooler. We've got 3 fans on there, hence the trio in the name. And as you can see, what is otherwise a beautiful design. We've got this nice reflective dragon, which is gamery but doesn't look too garish, and otherwise a pretty stunning backplate and PCB assembly that looks really rather nice. The only thing they haven't done, which they could do, is make the heatsink and the PCB board white if they wanted to go that far, but personally it's probably a little overkill for a build like this. Now in terms of why I've gone for the 5080 and not something from AMD just don't have anything in their 9000 arsenal to rival this, which gives Nvidia a bit of free reign at the top of the market, and boy are they using it to push prices up. As far as the motherboard goes, I tend to match up my GPUs and motherboards just because I think it helps to fit with the theme of a build a bit better. It's not all about getting the color scheme right, it's also about making sure the exact components you pick are a good match for one another. I've actually had hands on with this board before and was really keen to get it in a build on the channel. This is the MSI B850 Edge Wi-Fi. With the release of B850 and the extra PCI Gen 5 and USB 4 functionality, I don't really know what the need for a lot of gamers is for the higher end X870 chipset. As such, this board, even for high-end CPUs and GPUs, is going to be more than capable. You can see here we've got toolless NVMe installation at the top, at the AM5 socket that you're going to need for any Ryzen 7 or 9000 processor. I dropped a motherboard in a video the other week and it did not go down well. I'm not dropping this one. Oh shit! As well as, of course, support for DDR5 memory and all the kind of nice features that you know and love from a board from MSI at this kind of price point. I'll touch briefly on the I/O on the rear as well. So you can see here you've got plenty of USB-Cs, 10 gigabit Type A's, and of course Wi-Fi 7. I also like to see the inclusion of optical audio. A good way of spotting if a motherboard brand is trying to cheekily cut some costs is seeing if there's an optical audio output. I'll talk now about the CPU, which is here, and this is the Ryzen 7 9800X3D. When specing this build, I nearly went for the slightly cheaper Ryzen 7 9700X. But other than having a high core count, it doesn't really achieve much for gaming. If you want single thread performance, this is the CPU to go for. And again, pricing on this is now down to MSRP or below, including in America, which is really great to see. Intel are just nowhere to be seen. We actually built a Core Ultra build last week and are still having instability problems. Can you believe it? This far on in the CPU cycle, and it's still really only AMD to pick from. It's why over on GeekaWhat, which is our UK pre-built PC company, we only sell Ryzen chips right now in our builds. Intel's just not there yet. That's kind of sad really, isn't it? Anyway, moving on. RAM and SSD, I've gone for a 32GB kit of Corsair's Vengeance RGB DDR5. This kit is a 5600 MHz kit, but I'm going to link the faster 6000 mega transfers kit in the description below for the likes of Amazon and Newegg. Why? The extra 400 MHz and lower latency will actually give you even more performance than what I'm building here, which is always useful and for a minimal cost implication. Storage-wise, I've gone for this 2TB Samsung 9100 Pro. This is Samsung's long-awaited entrant into the Gen 5 NVMe space and does a mighty good job at that. I've also gone ahead and picked up some fans for this build to jazz it up a bit. These are Corsair's LX120s and 120 R's, the R meaning reverse, and that has the inverted fan blade, which we'll need for the bottom of the case. They're also magnetic, and the fans stick together, as you can see from the boxes, which because of the strength of the magnets in the fans, also stick together. Sort of quite funny that, and shows the sort of relative strength. Cooling wise, I've gone for this, the Corsair IQ Link Titan 360. This is their IQ Link variant. They have a cheaper design called the Nautilus, which I think's the exact same, but with the cheaper fans that uses the standard 5-volt ARGB. Controversially, might get in trouble for this, I actually quite like Corsair IQ, and using that IQ Link tech in a build like this where we could have a decent amount of fans, 3 at the bottom, 2 at the back, 3 at the top, makes cable management and those RGB effects a bit easier. I've gone for a 360mm AIO because although a 240 would technically be fine, it's going to look way better in the build and give better overall airflow for the system, which is never a bad thing. In terms of other parts, I'm just missing, I think, 2 left, the power supply and the case. Now, this is the Montech Century 2 Gold 1050. I'm actually using this to just keep in the theme with the case. There are some really great other options you could go for, but this still has everything we want. It's 80 plus gold, cybernetics platinum, and comes with a 10-year warranty. Wow. Wow. Now, the 5080 is pretty power efficient, so you could drop down a little lower. I wouldn't be going anywhere less than 850, especially if you've got quite a powerful CPU as well. Just something to bear in mind. I'll also, of course, be adding some white PSU cable extensions to stick with the white theme a little bit later on. The final thing to talk about then is the case, and this is the Montech HS02. Montech are really in the mainstream now, and are actually beginning to rival, in my view, the likes of Corsair, and very quickly. This is the HS02, which is the second version of their HS lineup. The other version, which is the HS01, gets rid of the curved tempered glass and has mesh at the front. Better for airflow, worse for aesthetics. And in today's build, we want performance, but primarily good looks as well. This case has some cool party tricks. You can invert the layout, you can flip the motherboard tray to this side and put the glass on the other side. There's loads of cool stuff you can do. I'm not doing any of it. I'm just building in it normally because I actually prefer the way that it looks in that sense. And it does come, the Pro version at least, with 3 included fans on the bottom and 2 at the back. They're pre-wired and ARGB, though of course, I think I'm going to take them out in this build to go up a level with our Corsair IQ Link design instead. So with that, I'm going to begin by installing as many parts into the motherboard as possible, specifically starting things off with the Ryzen 9800X 3D processor, then adding in the 2 16GB DIMMs of memory, as well as the Samsung 9100 Pro SSD. A little something like so. I'm then going to go ahead and not necessarily install the cooler, but do some prep for the CPU cooler. Very boring. Our cooler's quite dusty. We've been doing some construction in the office. Well, put some photos of how we're getting on your screen. I don't know if you're interested. If you are, this is what's happening. Anyway, that's why the cooler's dusty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate the mounting hardware and try and see if there's any prep I need to do on the motherboard before moving the board into the case. This is going to give you a bit of an idea of what the fans are like as well. These are the default ones. As I say, I've got Corsair's Alex fans, which I'll probably put on anyway. And I think I may have used this cooler for AMD before. Inside the box, these are the AMD brackets, and all we need to do is just add these onto the cooler or replace any Intel bracket that may already be on. You want the cooler to look a little something like this before you install the brackets, and the brackets will slide on and friction fit into place. There's no screws or anything that you need to secure these down. That's pretty much it for the cooler prep. I'm also going to take the black plastic stock AMD brackets off. There should be one above and one below the CPU socket, and they look a little something like this. I'm then just going to remove the tempered glass side panel before sliding the motherboard in. It was actually this case in black where I dropped the motherboard. Action replay. People were not very happy. I wasn't very happy either, for the record. I was quite upset that it happened and it was an accident. So I'm going to be very, very careful today to not repeat the same mistake. That looks pretty good though. I like that so far, and my colour scheme is already starting to come together. Then just going to secure all the screws down. So we've got 3 at the top of the board, 3 along the middle, and 3 down the bottom to stop it from going anywhere. CPU cooler is then going to be the next thing on the list, and for today's build, I'm going to be popping it in the top of the case, a little something like thereabouts, with the CPU water block to screw in, a little something like so. Really easy to install, but first, of course, remember to fasten into place any fans, and in today's build, I'll be using the Corsair LX. The Corsair have got so many fans: QX, RX, RS, Max, RS, too many numbers and digits to remember, but I'll be using these ones in today's build, which, as I say, are from Corsair. A dab of thermal paste, made of something like so, and then the CPU block just sits nice and easily on top. It's really cool that the installation is so simple. A lot of coolers are far, far more complicated than this, and Corsair have really got it right. So good work, Corsair, if you're watching. I like this cooler, and it's incredibly easy to install. At this stage as well, I'm also going to go out and swap the fans so they all match. As I say, I've got the 3 at the bottom to do and the 2 at the back to remove. All these fans are pretty easy to access and actually take out, so good job from Montech on that one. And as you can see, the Corsair reverse blade fans at the bottom particularly look fantastic. It's all fine. Everything is fine. That's looking a bit more like it. And normally at this stage we put the power supply in, but you know what? We're filming this video on a Friday, so why not go ahead and put the GPU in? And I'll do all the cables, wiring, and the frankly boring bit last. I need that back because this is got to go back. Anyway, in terms of where in the motherboard this is going to live, this graphics card, I'm going to install into the top slot, which is the 2nd and 3rd slots on the motherboard. Now you can see if I spin the case round, we've got these holes just here, and I need to put my screwdriver shaft through the 2nd, doesn't fit, and 3rd holes. I'm going to get a smaller screwdriver, remove these, and then go ahead and slide the GPU in. Yeah, that's looking good. Just those last couple of screws to stop that from happening. The final step of the build then is the power supply. And today's video isn't going to be a full cables and wiring guide. I have got one of those out on the channel. You can check it out in the cards now. I also made a video about what to do if your new PC won't boot and nobody watched it, which I'm hoping means that all of your PC's booted. But if yours hasn't or you're interested, please watch it. It's no one wanted to watch it. I'm feeling quite sorry for myself. Here's the power supply, quite nice with the little black and silver design. The only problem really with this PSU selection is that all the cables are black, which isn't going to work for the white theme, which is why I've also picked up these easy DIY fab PSU cable extensions. I'm going to get all the cables wired up, screw the power supply in, and then of course power up the CPU to the top left, motherboard to the right hand side, and GPU for good measure, finishing off the front panel cables at this point too. And before I then get ready to boot this system up, I've got to admit we've got a problem. And to show you this problem, I've got my handy handheld camera to give you a bit more detail. Now the problem area, to be specific, is this. Now this right here is the Corsair IQ connector we need to power up the 2 fans at the rear. The problem is that this cable here, which I've already actually damaged slightly to try and get to fit, won't fit. I'll show you exactly what I mean by trying to plug it in. And you can see it won't go flush, and even if it did, this top panel wouldn't have the clearance it needs at the back to go on. Now, whether this is a design oversight from Montech or from Corsair, it's probably a bit 50-50. I do think Montech should be accounting, though, for the fact that some fans, especially the daisy chain type, have extra bits on the end. The Corsair one's quite chunky, but other fans like those from Fantex or Lee & Lee have it too. As such, I'm going to change these out for some Corsair standard 3-pin 5-volt ARGB fans, and then boot this thing up and check out how amazing it's going to look when it's all powered on. Moving through to take a look at performance, and it won't surprise you to see the 5080 in this build stack up really well. I benchmarked this system on MSI's stunning 272 URX QD OLED monitor with a super low response time, super high refresh rate, and stunning OLED panel. On your screen now is a summary of the numbers we pulled in at 4K high settings rasterization, but let me take you through in a little bit more detail some of these results. Call of Duty's Black Ops 6, for example, at 4K high, gladly delivered over 100 frames per second on average, with 105 FPS all told. Hogwarts Legacy at 4K high, which is super VRAM intensive, pulled in around 103 FPS on average, while Marvel's Rivals also passed through the 100 frame per second mark with 106.2 at the 4K high preset. You will get higher frame rates than this too, of course. The likes of Apex Legends blast right through towards the 300 FPS mark, with the 4K high preset delivering 285 FPS on average. This is a build that certainly isn't short on power, and I love how good this system looks. It's just a bit of a shame about those rear fans not quite being compatible with the IQ Link system. What do you guys think of this build? Let me know in the comments below. You can find latest pricing and availability at the affiliate links too. Thanks for watching. As always, we'll see you in the next one.